A queen never lowers her crown to address a fool. Ladies, it's time for a brutal truth. Too many of us waste our energy on men who don't see us, don't value us, and don't deserve even a fraction of the power we bring into their lives. This isn't about blaming men for everything, it's about waking up and seeing how we allow ourselves to be dragged through the mud by people who wouldn't last a day in our shoes. We are queens, but some of us have forgotten. Today, we're here to remember. Let me introduce you to Elena. She's not just a character, she's a reflection of you, of me, of every woman who's ever felt small in the shadow of someone unworthy. Elena is brilliant, she's caring, she's the kind of woman who would give the world to someone she loves. But right now, Elena is tired. She's been bending, breaking, and sacrificing for a man who wouldn't even pick her up if she fell. The light is dimming, her soul is aching, and she feels trapped in a cycle that she knows deep down isn't right. She cooks his meals but eats alone because he's too busy. She texts first, waits hours for a reply, and then blames herself for being too clingy. She's become an afterthought in a man's life, a mere convenience when it suits him. Do you see her? That's you, that's us, that's every woman who's ever silenced her roar to make a man feel comfortable. But let me ask you this. Would a lion beg a sheep for respect? No. She would rise, roar, and claim her place as the ruler she was born to be. You are that lion. You are that queen. But you've been giving your power away, and today we stop that. Imagine this. You're a priceless diamond, unique and untouchable. Yet you've been sitting in the mud, letting someone who doesn't even know your worth hold you like a pebble. Do you know what happens when a diamond is treated like trash? Nothing. Its value doesn't change. But the person who fails to recognize it, they lose everything. That's where Elena is today, ready to rise, to polish her crown, and to stop apologizing for her shine. The reality is harsh but simple. Men who don't respect you will never suddenly start respecting you. A man who plays games, lies, manipulates, or takes you for granted isn't a project to fix. He's a mirror showing you where your boundaries are failing. It's time to shatter that mirror and rebuild yourself. Today, Elena begins her journey of reclaiming her power, and so do you. By the end of this, you won't just know you're a queen, you'll feel it in your bones, breathe it with every inhale, and radiate it in every step. But first, we're going to dismantle the lies, manipulations, and tactics that men use to keep you small. In the comments, I want you to declare it boldly, to yourself and the universe. I am a queen. Say it. Own it. From this moment forward, you're done with the drama, done with chasing, and done with begging for crumbs. This is your rise. Coming up, we're diving into the harsh realities of how men play their games, the signs to watch for, and how to become untouchable. Stay tuned, Queen. Your crown awaits. Number 1. He's always got an excuse for not spending time with you. Queens don't chase, they attract. Queens, let's strip away the excuses and face the truth. When a man doesn't make time for you, he's showing you exactly where you stand in his life. No matter how busy he claims to be, remember this. If someone values you, they will find a way, not an excuse. A way. A man who constantly says he's too busy while having time for his friends, his hobbies, or even his phone is simply showing you his priorities. And unfortunately, you're not on that list. Elena has been there. She worked late hours, managed a hectic life, but still made time for the man she cared for. She planned surprises, cleared her calendar, and waited patiently for his attention. And what did she get in return? I'm exhausted. Something came up. And the ever-classic, maybe next time. Meanwhile, he had energy to party with his friends and binge his favorite shows. At first, Elena made excuses for him. He's stressed. Maybe I'm asking for too much. But as the excuses piled up, so did the loneliness. She was pouring her love into someone who didn't even bother to hold the cup. That's when she realized the truth. A queen never waits for someone who isn't willing to show up for her. Here's a question to ask yourself. If he doesn't prioritize your time now, what makes you think he will in the future? The way someone treats your time reflects how they see your value. You are not a pit stop in someone else's journey. You are the destination. Imagine this. A crown made of gold and jewels, priceless and regal. Would you leave it sitting on a dusty shelf, ignored and forgotten? Of course not. Yet every time you accept excuses and settle for less, you are putting your crown on that shelf. Don't. Your time is your crown. Wear it proudly and give it only to those who deserve it. Some of you might feel the sting of these words. You might think, but what if he's really busy? Or, am I being unreasonable? Queens, there's nothing unreasonable about expecting effort, respect, and consistency. A man who truly values you will want to make time for you. Anything less is simply an excuse. Eleanor realized this. She stopped chasing texts, stopped rearranging her life for a man who wouldn't even make her a priority, and reclaimed her time for herself. She found power in the moments she once gave away, and she started to shine again. And so can you. If this resonates with you, say it boldly in the comments. I am done chasing. I am a queen. Let the world hear it, but more importantly, let yourself feel it. From this moment forward, you are no longer waiting for someone to value you. You value yourself. Stay tuned, because we're not stopping here. Next, we'll expose more ways men manipulate and undervalue queens like you, and how to rise above it all. Your crown is waiting. If my words are making an impact, press that like button under this video and help spread this message to more queens out there who need to hear it. Together, we're creating a movement. Number 2, you're a ghost to his friends and family. A queen is not a secret. She is a legacy. Queens, let's have an honest moment here. If months have passed and you still haven't met his friends, his family, or anyone significant in his life, then what exactly are you to him? Let's cut through the fog of excuses. I'm just private, or they're not ready to meet you. No. When someone truly values you, they want the world to know you. They won't hide you like a secret. They'll showcase you like the queen you are. Eleanor, like many of you, ignored this sign at first. She thought, maybe it's just not the right time, or he needs space to figure things out. But months turned into a year, and still, she was invisible to the people who mattered in his life. No introductions, no family gatherings, no social events where she was by his side. She was a phantom in his world, always there for him, but never acknowledged beyond closed doors. It stung, but she kept quiet, hoping things would change. Here's the truth. They didn't. Queens, let me ask you something. Would a king hide his queen? Would a man who's building his life with you keep you in the shadows, far from the people who shape his world? No. A man who values you will want to integrate you into his life. He will proudly introduce you to his closest friends, his family, his inner circle, because you are a part of him, and he wants everyone to know it. When someone keeps you hidden, it's not about privacy. It's about a lack of commitment. If he's serious about you, he won't hide you like some guilty pleasure. He'll hold your hand and walk boldly with you into the light of day. Because a queen doesn't belong in the shadows. But the shadows can be deceiving, can't they? They make you question yourself. Am I not good enough? Does he think I'll embarrass him? Am I asking for too much? Let me stop you right there. Queens, the issue isn't with you. It's with him. A man who hides you is hiding something bigger. His lack of intention, his fear of commitment, or worse, his plan to keep you as an option while he explores other possibilities. Don't be Elena in this chapter of her life. She spent nights scrolling through his social media, wondering why she wasn't there in the photos or tagged in the posts. She excused the lack of introductions, telling herself, he's just waiting for the right moment. But deep down, she knew the truth. She was a placeholder, not a priority, and that truth burned. One day, Elena decided she'd had enough. She stood in front of the mirror and asked herself, would a queen accept this? Would I advise another woman to stay invisible for someone who can't claim her? The answer was no, and so she walked away. It wasn't easy, but with every step she took, she felt her power returning. Queens, let me remind you of something. You are the sun. You light up rooms, you inspire hearts, and you bring warmth wherever you go. Yet here you are, letting someone keep you hidden like a candle flickering in the corner. You were born to shine, not to shrink into the background of someone else's story. If he hasn't introduced you to his world, it's time to stop making excuses for him. Start asking yourself the real question, why am I staying with someone who won't claim me? Because the moment you step out of the shadows, you'll see something remarkable, the brightness of your own worth. Imagine a queen, who is hidden from her kingdom. How would her people know her strength, her grace, her wisdom? They wouldn't. A queen must be seen, recognized, and celebrated. And so must you. Stop allowing someone to keep you a secret. You are not an afterthought. You are not a maybe. You are the crown jewel. Let's make this crystal clear. If you're not part of his world, then he shouldn't be part of yours. If this resonates with you, declare it in the comments. I am done hiding. I am a queen. Let these words be a promise to yourself that from this moment forward, you will never settle for the shadows. You will demand the light. Stay tuned, queens. There's more to uncover, more signs to spot, and more ways to reclaim your power. Eleanor's journey doesn't end here, and neither does yours. Your rise continues. Your crown is waiting. Number 3. He's glued to his phone when you're together. A queen deserves undivided attention, not divided priorities. Queens, let's talk about a silent yet painful reality. Being physically present with someone who is mentally miles away. There you are, giving your time, energy, and heart to someone while they sit there scrolling, texting, or mindlessly staring at their screen. Does it hurt? Of course it does. Because every swipe and tap is a reminder that in that moment, his phone is more important than you. Eleanor knows this feeling all too well. She remembers sitting across the table from him on what should have been a beautiful evening. She dressed up, carefully choosing her outfit, fixing her makeup, and putting on her best smile. She wanted to make him feel special. But as the dinner went on, it became clear. She wasn't the center of his attention. His phone was. He wasn't listening when she spoke. He wasn't looking at her when she laughed. Instead, he was scrolling, smiling at his screen, and occasionally muttering, "Sorry, it's work," or "This is important." The worst part? She believed it. She thought maybe she was overreacting, maybe she was being too sensitive. But deep down, she knew the truth. A man who values you will always make you feel seen, heard, and cherished. Let's ask the hard question. Why are you tolerating being treated like background noise? Imagine this. You're a queen sitting on her throne. Your kingdom is vast, your crown sparkles, and your presence commands attention. Now picture someone walking into your court, ignoring your power, and giving all their focus to a trivial distraction. Would you allow it? Would you let someone disrespect the authority of your throne? Absolutely not. So why are you allowing it in your personal life? Being glued to his phone isn't about being busy, it's about priorities. We all have busy lives, notifications that buzz, and demands that pull us in a million directions. But when a man truly values you, he will choose to be present. He will silence the distractions, because in that moment, you are what matters most. If he can't put his phone down for a meal, a conversation, or a shared moment, what does that say about his respect for your time and effort? Some of you might be thinking, it's not that big of a deal, or everyone's addicted to their phones. Queens, let me stop you right there. This isn't about technology, it's about respect. Every time he chooses his screen over your presence, he's sending you a message. You're not worth my full attention. And that message is loud and clear, even if you don't want to hear it. Elena heard it. She felt it in the silence between his responses, in the emptiness of conversations that never seemed to matter to him. For a while, she tried harder, asking him questions, trying to engage him, even pretending not to notice when he picked up his phone mid-sentence. But eventually, she realized something profound. A queen doesn't beg for attention. She commands it by knowing her worth. Here's the truth. You deserve to be with someone who makes you feel like the only person in the room. Someone who looks at you, listens to you, and cherishes every moment with you. If he can't do that, he's not your king. He's a distraction. Think of it this way. If you were holding a priceless diamond, would you toss it aside to look at a plastic trinket? Of course not. But every time he picks his phone over you, that's exactly what he's doing. And the longer you accept this behavior, the more you're allowing him to undervalue what should be sacred. Your time, your presence, your heart. Elena reached her breaking point one night when, after pouring her heart out, she realized he hadn't heard a word she said. He was too busy scrolling. That night, she made a decision. Never again. She put herself first, left the relationship, and started reclaiming her time for people who valued it. She learned that being ignored wasn't her fault. It was his failure to see her worth. Queens, it's time to make a choice. Stop tolerating divided attention. Stop making excuses for someone who can't prioritize you. Start demanding the respect you deserve. Your presence is a gift. Don't waste it on someone who can't see it. If this resonates with you, declare it boldly in the comments. I am done being ignored. I am a queen. Let this be your promise to yourself, your affirmation that from this moment forward, you will settle for nothing less than full, undivided attention. Stay tuned, queens, because we're not done yet. Together, we're going to uncover every way you've been settling and how to rise above it all. Your throne awaits. Number 4, he flirts with other women right in front of you. Respect isn't requested, it's required by queens. Queens, let's get one thing straight. A man who flirts with other women in front of you isn't being friendly, he's being disrespectful. Whether he calls it harmless fun or brushes it off with "you're overreacting," his actions scream louder than his excuses. A man who truly values you will not seek validation from anyone else, especially not in your presence. Disrespect is not a quirk to overlook. It's a glaring red flag that must not be ignored. Eleanor, like so many of us, once found herself trapped in this very scenario. She would walk into a room with him and feel her confidence shrink as his eyes wandered to other women. His laugh would grow a little louder, his tone a little softer, and his attention entirely elsewhere. When she confronted him, his response was predictable. "You're being too sensitive." He dismissed her feelings, twisting the narrative to make it seem like she was the problem. And for a while, she believed him. But here's the truth, queens. Flirting in front of you isn't harmless. It's a direct insult to your worth. It's his way of testing boundaries, of seeing how much you'll tolerate before you finally say, enough. Imagine a queen standing in her court, her king at her side. Would he dare glance at another with admiration, let alone flirt openly? Of course not. Why? Because a true king knows that his loyalty is not just expected, it's the foundation of their power together. When a man chooses to disrespect you in such an obvious way, he's telling you where you stand in his life. And unfortunately, it's nowhere near where a queen belongs. Now, some of you might be thinking, maybe I'm overthinking it, or what if I'm being insecure? Let me stop you right there. This isn't about insecurity, it's about respect. A relationship is built on trust, loyalty, and mutual admiration. When he chooses to flirt with others in front of you, he's showing you that he lacks the maturity and integrity to honor those values. Elena learned this lesson the hard way. She spent months justifying his behavior, telling herself that he's just a natural charmer, or he doesn't mean anything by it. But each time it happened, she felt a piece of her self-esteem crumble. She'd smile through the pain, laughing along to hide her embarrassment. But behind closed doors, she'd cry, wondering why she wasn't enough. Queens, hear me. You are more than enough. The problem isn't you, it's him. A man who flirts with other women in front of you isn't just seeking attention. He's showing you his lack of respect. He's showing you that he's willing to risk your dignity for a fleeting moment of validation from someone else. That's not a king. That's a boy playing games in a man's world. So, what should you do when faced with this disrespect? You draw the line. You demand the respect you deserve. And if he can't rise to meet that, you walk away. Because queens don't stay in places where their worth is questioned. Picture this. You're wearing a crown, dazzling and regal. And yet here you are, allowing someone who doesn't even see your shine to toss pebbles at it. No more. It's time to reclaim your power, your dignity, and your throne. Some of you may feel hesitant, but he says it's harmless. What if I push him away? Queens, let me tell you this. Pushing away a man who disrespects you is not a loss, it's a gain. It's reclaiming your energy, your self-respect, and your time for someone who will cherish it. A man who values you won't flirt with others because he won't need to. Your presence will be more than enough. Eleanor finally realized this. One day, after yet another humiliating moment of watching him flirt with someone else, she looked in the mirror and asked herself, would I let my best friend endure this? Would I advise another queen to stay in this situation? The answer was no, and so she walked away. And with every step, she felt her crown grow heavier, not from burden, but from the weight of her reclaimed power. If this resonates with you, queens, declare it boldly in the comments. I am done tolerating disrespect. I am a queen. Let these words be your anthem, your battle cry, your declaration to yourself and the world that you will no longer accept less than you deserve. Stay tuned, Queens. Eleanor's journey isn't over, and neither is yours. We'll continue uncovering the signs, learning the truths, and reclaiming the crowns that were always meant for us. Your throne awaits. Number 5. He only reaches out when he needs something. A queen is not a convenience. She is a treasure, valued for who she is, not what she can provide. Queens, let's have a moment of honesty. How many times has he called, texted, or suddenly appeared in your life, not to check on you, not to uplift you, but because he needed something? A ride, a loan, advice, or some quick emotional support, but when you needed him, silence. This isn't love. This isn't respect. This is exploitation, plain and simple. Eleanor knows this all too well. She was always there, the dependable one. When his car broke down, she picked him up. When he had a bad day, she became his therapist. When his projects fell apart, she worked late into the night to help him fix them. But when Elena needed someone to lean on, he was too busy or emotionally drained. At first, Eleanor convinced herself that this was just how relationships worked. It's give and take, she thought. But as time went on, it became clear. It was always her giving and him taking. She wasn't a partner in his life. She was a convenience. Here's the hard truth, Queens. If someone only contacts you when they need something, they don't see you as a person. They see you as a resource, and you are not a resource. You are not a personal assistant, a fixer, or a therapist on speed dial. You are a queen, and queens are valued for their presence, their essence, and their heart, not the services they provide. Think about this. Would a king treat his queen like an ATM or a problem-solving machine? No. A king builds with his queen. He shares the weight, he supports her when she's down, and he shows up because he values her, not because he needs something from her. But the sad truth is, too many of us ignore the signs. We tell ourselves, at least he's reaching out, or maybe this time it's different. No, Queens, it's not different. A man who only shows up when he needs something will continue to do so as long as you let him. And every time you say yes, every time you drop what you're doing to help him, you're teaching him that your needs don't matter. Elena finally saw this pattern for what it was. One night, after yet another desperate text asking for her help, she paused and asked herself, when was the last time he asked how I'm doing? When was the last time he showed up for me without needing something in return? The silence that followed was deafening. In that moment, she realized she wasn't just being taken for granted, she was being used. And Queens, let me tell you, there's nothing lonelier than giving everything to someone who wouldn't even lift a finger for you. Here's what you need to remember. A real relationship isn't transactional. It's reciprocal. It's about two people building together, supporting each other, and showing up even when it's inconvenient. If he's only there when he needs something, then he's not your partner. He's a parasite. And I know what some of you are thinking. But what if he's really struggling? Or what if he just doesn't know how to ask for help the right way? Queens, there's a difference between someone going through a tough time and someone who makes your life their backup plan. A man who values you will still find ways to show you he cares, even when life is hard. A man who doesn't, he'll drain you until there's nothing left. It's time to stop excusing his behavior. Stop giving to someone who only knows how to take. Start asking yourself the real questions. Does he care about me? Or does he care about what I can do for him? Eleanor decided to draw the line. The next time he reached out asking for help, she didn't drop everything. Instead, she said, I can't help you with that. It was hard. She'd spent so much of her time trying to prove her worth by being there for him. But in that moment, she realized something powerful. She didn't need to prove anything to a man who couldn't even see her value. And neither do you. If this truth is hitting home, I want you to declare it in the comments. I am done being used. I am a queen. Let those words sink in. Let them become a promise to yourself that from this moment forward, you will no longer give your time, energy, or love to anyone who doesn't deserve it. Stay tuned, Queens. We're uncovering more ways to protect your power, set boundaries, and demand the love and respect you deserve. Elena's rise is your rise. Your crown is waiting. Number 6. He avoids talking about the future. A queen doesn't wait for promises. She builds her own kingdom. Queens, let me ask you this. How many times have you brought up the future with him? Dreams, plans, even the smallest commitments, and watched him squirm, dodge, or completely change the subject? How often have you walked away from those conversations feeling like you're asking for too much, like you're forcing something he should want to offer freely? Let me tell you something important. You're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong person. Elena found herself in this exact situation. Every time she tried to talk about where things were going, whether it was a trip next month, meeting his family, or even the idea of living together someday, his answers were vague at best. Let's not rush things, he'd say. Or worse, he'd turn the conversation into a joke, making her feel silly for even asking. At first, she thought, maybe I'm moving too fast. But months turned into years, and she realized something painful. She was stuck in a relationship with no direction, no destination, and no real commitment. Here's the truth. When someone truly sees a future with you, they won't be afraid to talk about it. They won't dodge the subject or make you feel like you're pressuring them. A man who values you will be excited to share his vision with you, to include you in his plans and to build something meaningful together. If he's avoiding those conversations, it's because he's not as invested as you are. Or worse, he's keeping his options open. Queens, think of it like this. You're on a train moving steadily toward your dreams, but instead of being your co-pilot, he's sitting in the back, acting like a passenger who might jump off at the next stop. Why are you allowing someone to ride along without buying a ticket? Why are you letting him benefit from your time, energy, and love, while he refuses to commit to the journey? The excuses he gives might sound convincing. I'm just focused on my career right now. Let's see where this goes. Why do we need to label things? But the reality is simple. If he wanted to be in your future, he would be making space for you in it. Period. Anything less is a delay tactic, and queens don't wait for someone to decide their worth. Maybe you're afraid to confront this truth. Maybe you're thinking, what if he just needs more time? Or, what if I'm being too demanding? No, queen. Demanding clarity is not being demanding. Knowing your worth is not rushing things. Expecting someone to value your time is not asking for too much. The only thing you're doing wrong is giving someone unlimited access to your heart without requiring them to earn it. Eleanor learned this the hard way. For years she stayed, hoping his reluctance to talk about the future would fade. She gave him time, patience, and unwavering support. But every time she brought it up, the same excuses returned. And then, one day, she asked herself, if he's not building a future with me, why am I building one with him? That question changed everything. She realized her value wasn't tied to his indecision. She wasn't a placeholder, a backup plan, or a convenience. She was a queen, and queens don't wait for someone to figure things out. They demand what they deserve. Or they walk away and find someone who can rise to their level. Queens, your time is precious. Don't waste it on someone who doesn't see a future with you. Don't accept vague answers, half-hearted promises, or the endless cycle of maybe someday. You deserve clarity, commitment, and someone who sees you as an integral part of their life, not an option they might choose later. So ask yourself this: if he's avoiding the future, what is he really saying about your present? Because a man who loves you, values you, and respects you will never leave you guessing about where you stand. If this resonates with you, I want you to declare it boldly in the comments. I am done waiting. I am a queen. Let it be a promise to yourself that you will no longer accept less than what you deserve. From this moment forward, your time is reserved for those who are ready to share their future with you, not keep you in limbo. Stay tuned, queens. We're just getting started. The next step in this journey is uncovering more signs of disrespect and learning how to rise above them. Eleanor's story is your story, and your crown is waiting. Keep rising. Number 7. He's still caught up in his past. A queen does not compete with ghosts. She creates a kingdom of her own. Queens, let me paint a picture for you. You're sitting across from him, sharing your dreams and plans for the future, but somehow the conversation drifts back to her, his ex. The stories, the comparisons, she used to do this, or we had something special. It's like a ghost sitting at the table with you, haunting every moment that should be yours. Let me tell you something straight. You are not here to compete with memories. You are not a second chapter in someone else's unfinished book. You are the beginning of something new, something bold, something extraordinary. Elena knows this struggle all too well. She gave her heart to a man who, it seemed, had left a piece of himself behind in every past relationship. He would talk about his ex like she was the gold standard for everything. If Eleanor planned a romantic dinner, he'd say, "She used to love doing that too." If they argued, he'd compare it to fights he had before. It felt like no matter what Elena did, she was in a constant race with someone who wasn't even there. At first, she tried to brush it off. He's just processing, she thought. Everyone has baggage. But as time went on, she realized something crucial. This wasn't about processing. This was about being stuck. And you know what? Queens don't stand still. They rise. Here's the truth you need to hear. When a man is caught up in his past, he's not fully present with you. He's holding on to something that's gone, dragging it into a space where it doesn't belong. Your relationship. And every time he does, he's robbing you of the attention, love, and respect you deserve. Queens, let me ask you this. Would you ever let someone decorate your castle with the scraps of their old life? No. You'd demand something new, something worthy of your throne. But the past has a way of making you doubt yourself, doesn't it? Am I not enough to make him move on? What does she have that I don't? Am I being too sensitive? Stop. Right. There. This is not about you. This is about him. His inability to let go of the past is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his unresolved issues. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. It's filled with old arguments, faded photos, and what-ifs that no longer matter. That's what he's doing, dragging that emotional weight into every moment with you. But here's the thing, Queens, that weight is not yours to carry. You deserve someone who's ready to build something new with you, not someone who keeps looking back over their shoulder. Eleanor came to this realization one evening as she sat alone, replaying yet another conversation about his ex in her mind. She thought about all the moments she had poured into their relationship, hoping he would finally let go of the past and see her for who she was. A queen, ready to create something beautiful. But the truth hit her hard. He wasn't ready. And if she stayed, she'd always feel like she was in a three-person relationship. So, she made the bold choice to walk away. It hurt, yes, but in that pain, she found clarity. She realized she wasn't leaving him. She was stepping back into herself, reclaiming her power, and refusing to compete with memories that had no place in her future. Queens, hear me loud and clear. You cannot fix someone who refuses to move forward. You cannot build a future with someone who is still staring at the rearview mirror. A man who's stuck in his past will never give you the full presence, the full love, and the full respect you deserve. You deserve someone who sees you as their everything, not a placeholder, not a rebound, and certainly not a comparison to what once was. If this resonates with you, say it boldly in the comments. I am done competing. I am a queen. Let it be a declaration of your worth. A reminder that you are no one's second choice, and a vow to yourself to never settle for less than what you deserve. Stay tuned, Queens. We're not done uncovering the truths that will set you free. Eleanor's journey is your journey, and your rise is inevitable. Your crown is waiting. Are you ready to wear it? Number 8. He flips your boundaries back on you. A queen's boundaries are not walls. They are gates, protecting her peace and power. Queens, let's talk about boundaries, the lines that define your worth, your values, and your self-respect. But what happens when you try to draw that line and he accuses you of being insecure or controlling? That, my queens, is emotional manipulation. It's his way of deflecting responsibility and shifting the focus back onto you. And it's a red flag you cannot ignore. Eleanor learned this lesson the hard way. She finally found the courage to tell him that she wasn't comfortable with how he entertained other women on social media. Instead of listening and understanding, he laughed and said, "You're so insecure. Why can't you trust me?" Suddenly, the focus wasn't on his actions. It was on her reaction. He flipped the script, making her feel small for standing up for herself. But here's the truth. Boundaries are not about control. They're about mutual respect. A man who values you will honor your boundaries because he understands they are an extension of your worth. He won't belittle you for having standards. he'll rise to meet them. When someone flips your boundaries on you, they are telling you something important. They do not respect you. They are more interested in keeping their comfort than in addressing your needs. And you, Queen, deserve better than that. Think of it this way. A boundary is like a beautiful garden fence. It protects the things that make you unique, radiant, and whole. When someone tramples that fence, then blames you for putting it there, they are showing a lack of care for what lies inside. A true king would help you strengthen that fence, not tear it down. Eleanor finally saw this for what it was, a game of control disguised as love. She stopped questioning her boundaries and started questioning his respect. And when she realized she deserved better, she walked away with her head held high. Queens, let me ask you, are you protecting your peace or are you letting someone manipulate you into giving it away? If this speaks to you, declare it boldly in the comments. I am done with manipulation. I am a queen. Say it, own it, and let it be your guiding truth. Your rise continues, queens. Keep building your fences and protecting your power. Your crown is waiting. So there you have it, queens. When a man plays games or ignores you, it's life's way of nudging you toward your true mission, building yourself. You're not here to wait for scraps or seek validation. You're here to rise, to claim your throne, and to become unstoppable. The power has always been yours. This is your moment to master self-respect, reclaim your strength, and embrace your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. If you're ready, declare it in the comments. I am a queen. Let the world know you're done settling. Your reign begins now. And hey, don't forget to press that like button under this video and hit subscribe. Share this video with another queen who needs to hear this, because we rise together.